Welcome to Trinity Place in Geneva, New York, and happy All Saints Day whenever it is you actually encounter this video. My name is Cameron Miller, and it's wonderful happenstance or serendipity that brings us together like this on this day, so thanks for being part of this worshiping community just now. At the end of this sermon, I'm going to ask you to light a candle and to share in a communal moment of Thanksgiving, and even though we are separated, obviously, by time and space. So please stop the video and go get something, go get a candle and something to light them with. Really, I don't mind being turned off, so go ahead and come back and then we'll get started. So Jesus, in this story from Matthew, sits down. In our world, if somebody is going to speak, to speechify or pontificate or preach, they stand up. In Jesus' day, the rabbis sat down to speak. I don't know if that really means anything. I just think it's interesting how things change. Perhaps I noticed that because in the midst of this pandemic, and I'm delivering sermons now by video, I sit down instead of standing up. It's a change. But there are always changes, right? Especially in language. Take the word blessing or blessed. It does not come, what we use in English does not come from the Greek or the Hebrew. It comes from Latin, benedictus. And it's an example of the Romanization of our Semitic religion. And really how much that Romanization changed what was a Semitic religion. The Hebrew word translated in English as blessed meant, the Hebrew word, which we translate, into English as blessed, meant to bend the knee. To bend the knee, which is interesting if you think about it. In Greek, that same word meant to worship or adore. But in English, blessed or blessing has come to mean rewarded. When we hear someone say, I'm blessed, what we may be hearing is, I have something. And sometimes the way it's said also means, I have something you don't. When we hear somebody say they know somebody who's blessed, it often means they got something. Blessings have come to be commodities. Blessings have become godly commodities that God bestows invisibly on some, but not others. Even if they are material commodities, they are something God sprinkles somehow on those who have got them and not on others who don't. Now, we never say that somebody is unblessed, and that's because we don't have to. If some are blessed, then it follows there are others who don't have blessings. And if blessings are commodities, either material or spiritual commodities, then we are talking about a divine economy that operates on the principle of scarcity. And that is just plain wrong. Our human economies operate on the principle of scarcity. The economy of God operates on the principle of abundance. In the economy of God, abundance is the invisible hand that is guiding the market, so that if we're talking about blessings, or anything else for that matter, they are universally available and there is no shortage of them. We're all blessed. So to think of and speak about blessings as something that somebody gets, and by implication other people don't get, is an example of how effortlessly in our minds and in our culture and in our theologies we translate abundance into scarcity. We do that. The commoditization of God's love is something we do without even thinking about it because we are so well trained as consumers and we see everything as products for which there is a potential shortage. Indeed, we are almost nursed on the idea of reward and punishment, of haves and have-nots, and veritably nursed with anxiety that there simply isn't enough, so we better get ours or it's all be gone. Well, now this gospel from Matthew probably won't change our thinking about that very much because we don't take Jesus very seriously anyway. But it is instructive to listen to this most famous sermon of his. I mean, if you know nothing else about Jesus or about the Bible, you probably have heard or read reference to Jesus' so-called Beatitudes. Even that word beatitude comes from Latin, not Aramaic or Hebrew. It means blessing. Jesus announced blessings, and that's one of the core pieces of his spiritual wisdom. Now, I prefer Luke's rendition of the Beatitudes because they're more direct. Whereas Matthew says, "Blessed are the poor," Luke says, "Blessed are you who are poor." Thomas, the Gospel of Thomas, doesn't have the whole list of blessings that Luke and Matthew do, but he has some scattered throughout his Gospel. But either way, the poor are blessed. The grief-stricken are blessed. The meek, who interestingly enough, Psalm 37 defines as those without land, are blessed. The violated or the wronged, who themselves practice mercy anyway, they are blessed. Those who are authentic and void of cynicism are blessed. Those who promote peace are blessed. Those who are persecuted are blessed. If we go back to the Hebrew, this can only mean one of two things. Either all these blessed people are to be worshipped, as intimated by a bended knee, or they are to be adored. Adored. A word we don't use much anymore. But since worship is only rendered to God in the Bible, it likely means that all the blessed people are adored. How is it, though, that the sorts of folks that Jesus names, who are generally citizens on the margin, are adored? Well, the first thing we have to do is get honest. There is a class warfare going on in the Bible. Yes, in the Bible, class warfare. Now, unlike American culture that likes to deny the existence of class struggle, the Bible is unselfconscious about class warfare. From Joseph sold into slavery to Moses leading a slave rebellion and the slaves out of Egypt to Isaiah calling the exiles home, the Bible is a book about God's special love for those who are on the margins. Now, Jesus, while he did have some pals and benefactors in the 1%, he was a peasant. And his audience were peasants. And those who followed him were peasants. His enemies were people who had power and privilege. Even so, I think we can make a pretty good case that even those of us who are highly privileged know grief and sorrow, have likely experienced some kind of disrespect or rejection, have lived within the radiance, that we, in fact, live within the radiance of God's adoration, if for no other reason than God created us. And there is no normal mother or father seeing their newborn infant for the first time all slimy and red-faced and not beautiful in that moment, who absolutely adores their precious new life. So too, God's adoration of us, whoever or whatever we are. Whoever you are listening to this, if you are poor in pocketbook or poor in spirit, if you are grieving or without property, if you have in some way been violated or abused or bruised, or you are just one of the earnest and authentic, Jesus says that you're doing your dang best to give peace a chance. And because of that, Jesus says, you are adored. You are adored by God. You are adored by God. And so we need to take that in. You are adored. Adored. That's what Jesus is saying to his audience in this gospel. The most unadored people in the world, abused, violated, esteemed as worthless peasants, living under the jackboot of empire, all of them are nonetheless adored. Adored. So it's not too far of an imaginative leap to think that if they are adored, we might be also. Even you. Even me. Adored. We are adored. I know this sounds mushy and gushy, but I'm telling you, it's shocking. When you really get up close and look at this, it is shocking how much depends upon our really getting this idea of being adored. Because you see, knowing, feeling, experiencing God's adoration of us is the source of gratitude. It's the source of gratitude. It is simply impossible that when we touch that place in which we can feel and even come to accept that God adores us, it's impossible to touch that and to not feel and experience gratitude. And when we experience that kind of gratitude, we are moved, really more than moved, we are compelled to care for and to nurture and to share that which has been given to us. And when that happens, when enough human beings live and move and have their being in that kind of gratitude, well, it changes the world. It changes the world. Gratitude like that is the antidote to cynicism and to pessimism. It's the cure for self-hatred and bitterness and resentment. Within the realm of gratitude, we are propelled toward hope and we are moved into action because gratitude is not a feeling, it is a mode of healing. Gratitude is a mode of healing. And this is really, really big. If you want to see and experience a miracle, I know that's not the kind of thing I say, but if you want to see and experience a miracle, start digging for the source of gratitude that pulsates somewhere deep inside of you. And the closer that we are able to move and live in the presence of that gratitude, the more potent and the more powerful we will be as change agents of God's love. The passageway to that gratitude, by the way, is the experience and trust in God's adoration of us, of you. To be blessed is to understand and to hold. To understand and to hold that God adores us. It's not a commodity to be gotten or taken or found or purchased or achieved. God adores us, period. Forever and always. When we can touch that and we can hold it, then we will know truly profound gratitude. So, I want to ask you now to light a candle of gratitude. However powerful or meager it is at this moment within you, in the knowledge that you are adored by the God and Creator of all that is, I invite us to please light a candle in thanksgiving. And if you're like me, you have several things to give thanks for. Go ahead, I hope you have a candle there to light. Thank you. Thank you for doing that with me and for opening yourself up to this moment. I hope that somehow it contributed to your growth or your healing or your wellness for today, maybe tomorrow or the next day. Thanks for being here. And the peace of God.